8th November 2016 is a date that nobody will forget. Anyone you ask, where were you at 8 p.m. when demonetization was announced by Prime Minister Modi, will remember exactly what they were doing at that moment and what happened in the next few hours. In most cases, it would have been a scramble to the ATM, a rush to pull out as much money as they could, even as the Prime Minister announced that from 12 midnight, that means in just a few hours, 500 and 1,000 rupee notes would cease to be considered legal tender. That was the first time we all heard the word demonetization. A lot of water has passed under the bridge since then, but 6 years later, today that is, the Supreme Court has deemed that the way demonetization was done and the act of demonetization by the government was legal, which is why demonetization is hitting the headlines once again. It's not just that, because of the Supreme Court judgment, where out of 5 judges, 4 have filed in and ruled in favor of the legality of demonetization, 1 against, the BJP today says that what they did was completely correct, their intentions were right, and the opposition should now apologize. But what's important to remember is that the Supreme Court has decided on whether the act and the process of demonetization was legal. Whether it was a good idea or a bad idea, whether it was a success or a failure, and did it actually achieve its stated objectives, is still very much up for debate and discussion. So it's not that kind of a clean chit that the Supreme Court has given today. So let's get into a little more detail of what exactly happened. There was a clutch of petitions asking the Supreme Court to look into the way demonetization was done. The claim was that the process and procedure was not followed. The Reserve Bank of India should be the one that initiates any kind of demonetization and not the sovereign. That means not the government or the executive who should be doing this. The government, in response, in its affidavits in court, has said that there was a 6-month consultation between the Government of India and the Reserve Bank of India, which the majority of judges have found as enough reason to say that all process was indeed followed. It was a legal act. The one dissenting order of one of the judges is also very important because it points out the role of the board of the RBI, saying what were they doing through all of this? Did they actually play their part? This dissenting order also says that why was Parliament not made the instrument of this policy decision, as happens in our country, that when there are new laws, when there are new movements, when there's more action, it has to be done by the Parliament in toto. Well, what was said in response to this through all of the hearings was that since demonetization had to be rolled out in complete secrecy, it was not possible to do it through the mechanism of Parliament. So 6 years down the line, what's done is done. It cannot be reversed, but the debate still remains on whether demonetization achieved its goals. Let's quickly look at what those goals were. The biggest one was to end black money in this country. Has black money ended in India? Many would argue no. Maybe it has changed direction and shape, but black money still very much exists. The fact that 98% of the value of money which was demonetized on 8th November 2016 made its way back to the banks also says that it may not have fully achieved its goals. The other big goal and aim was to turn India into a cashless economy. Well, on that front, a lot of action has taken place. There's an SBI report which says 80% of payments being made in this country right now are digital, and that kickstart did come from demonetization. But did you need demonetization to make India a digital economy? Many would argue that perhaps not. Terror financing and an end to terror financing was another goal. Has it been fully successful? Maybe not. Cutting down foreign currency or counterfeit currency, well, that has been successful to some extent. So all in all, demonetization did cause a lot of pain, a lot of stress for people who suddenly in the informal economy were left with no options. We have survived it. The economy was set back for a few years. But today, the judgment was not on whether it was a bad idea or a good idea, but whether it was within the legal right of the government to actually implement it. On that note, they have passed with flying colors.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.